In this video, we're going to continue with activity 1.3.4 CAD modeling skills. We're going to pick up with step 7 and move to step 13, which is going to have us patterning some of the polygons that we sketched in the previous steps and in a previous video. So through steps 1 through 6 of the activity. We're going to go ahead and start off by taking a look at that. I'm actually going to show we've got a construction circle here that we're going to pattern around this pentagon. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete that and show you how I put that in. I'm going to go ahead and go up here to the center point circle. If you choose the little drop down arrow, you can also choose it from there. I'm going to put the center of it right at the origin, and then I'm going to go until I touch the bottom face of that pentagon, and you'll see it'll lock in right at that intersection. I'm going to go ahead and right click and say escape circle. Then I'm going to select the circle, right click again, and select construction from that menu. And actually off outside of the sketch geometry, I'm going to click to show that. In order to create the rest of this, I'm going to go ahead and go up here to the pattern tool. So linear pattern may be what shows up, but if you click the little drop down arrow, you can choose circular pattern. In order to start this, I'm just going to start clicking on the lines that I want to pattern. So you're going to see it's going to start to generate a circle based on what we have. I'm going to go ahead and select all 5 lines of my pentagon. And then what you're going to notice here is it has a 3x right now, because you can see 3 of these are being previewed. If I double click on the 3x, change that to 5, and select enter, you're going to see here that it shows now 5 of these pentagon kind of shapes being patterned around. I'm going to go ahead and select the left mouse button, as you know, by my cursor. So that's going to go ahead and accept the pattern. And I can go ahead and right click and just make sure I'm not running any tools. I'm not. Here's one thing we might want to do is look at our sketch geometry. It is blue. So if I try to click and drag on some of the lines of my sketch geometry, you're going to notice this right here is going to be what happens. And mainly I want to show you this little blue point right there. So when we set that up, that blue point did not get constrained. I'm going to go ahead and grab a coincident constraint, select that point, and then select the middle of the circle or the origin. And notice how that all snapped these to the edge of that circle. And they all turn black to be fully constrained. So there finishes out a circular pattern. Let's go ahead and take a look at our hexagon to create a linear pattern or a rectangular pattern. So linear pattern. I'm going to go ahead and select all 6 sides of my hexagon. And here you're going to notice that you get a couple little arrow grips. This one here will provide the spacing. So I'm actually going to send this into the shape a little bit. This one above here will do another row. You're going to notice as we add some in that this hexagon is going to get in the way of the pentagon here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and utilize the green check mark. Click to set that in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete the lines of this hexagon that's kind of interfering with this pentagon. So they would like us to, in some softwares, we can actually suppress individual instances. And in this case, we're just going to go ahead and stick with that. Because Onshape doesn't allow us to have a scenario where we can suppress those. Alright, and last one here is the triangle. We're going to go ahead and, again, another linear pattern. I'm going to go ahead and select, I'm going to choose this bottom line on the triangle, and here. There's my triangle. You're going to notice that here's a point that it's pulling from. If I go ahead and kind of look, this is kind of what's going on. So here what we're looking for is kind of to set up almost as if we want to set it right on top here and go back at an angle like this. Now the hard part's going to be, as we zoom in, you're going to notice the point is not going to be exactly along the line, and that's something that we can always kind of play with or kind of work. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hit escape. Let's go ahead and try this again. Let's do a linear pattern. Let's choose this line first. See how it picked that point there? So that might be a little bit easier for us. I'll click this point, or this line, and that might help us out with trying to pick out. So now as we go back along this line here, we can kind of line this up just hopefully a little bit easier. And let's say instead of 3 times, let's go for, let's say 6. And let's try to pull this in so that way it doesn't quite reach those pentagons. So the other thing too is going to be, let's try to line this up right along that line. And that way hopefully the points will line up well for us. So I'm going to go ahead, select the green check mark, set in all those triangles. And the other thing too that might be helpful is that you're going to notice that some of these triangles, if I go to try to like click and drag and move any of them, most of them are looking pretty good. But if I want to try to coincident maybe the end point to the line, there we go. That looks like that did it. So I chose that point and put it right on the line. And that'll lock that in. So now I can go ahead and finish the sketch. And let's go ahead and extrude. I'm going to pick this large portion where there's no kind of plate. You're going to see you're going to get a red outline because right now it's not generating a solid, and it's probably because of this guy right here. So if I go and actually click on this corner, like right where this is going, you're going to see that it's going to now fill that portion in to fill in around and give us an actual solid. So we're only going to make this probably about a 1/2 inch, and we do want to flip the direction. So then that way that the sketch is on the front face, so the orange sketch, and we're going back, we're going to end up adding to this sketch here in a little bit. Now as far as finishing out the plate, we might have to see how we kind of look here. I'm going to probably pick right here in this portion, maybe here, and you can see sometimes it may give us just a little bit of an issue. It looks like if I pick like the areas around, so there I can have one opening for an arrow. I'm going to skip this one. Maybe I try to go up here and up here, try to fill in around there just a little bit. Okay, now it looks like because of how much we had patterned, I'm probably not going to be able to put in another probably a V shape, so I'm just going to go ahead and click and fill these in, and 2 will work just fine. So for what we're trying to accomplish. And you're going to be able to see now with our sketch, I'm actually going to hide that sketch. You can see that's kind of the plate that we get. And you can see we've had 2 patterns there. Again, if we wanted to add more and adjust, we could. But I think we get the idea. As we go ahead and go along, they want us to also, for steps 10, 11, and then of course 12 and 13, they want us to play all around with the offset and the project tools. So I'm actually going to create a new sketch on this flat surface of our part. I'm going to press the N key on the keyboard to turn this normal. The project tool is up here, it's down here. They actually have it called the use. It's also use, project, convert. So I'm going to go ahead and select that option, and I'm actually going to pick, I'm just going to go ahead and click right here around some of the outside faces. And so like here they have 3 of our pentagons. I can actually just kind of click on the lines of those pentagons. And I'm going to pick, and also you gotta be careful, you can also pick midpoints. I did on that one. But we'll just make sure we grab the lines. So these 3 are the ones we're going to pick. We're going to reuse the geometry that's there. I'm going to go ahead and use the offset tool. And on the offset tool, I hit the drop down. I can go ahead and, as far as what kind of things we can do, is I can go ahead and choose some things like, or if I select multiple kind of items here. So like on this pentagon, I go ahead and use the offset command and set a certain offset away. So maybe we only want like about a 0.1 offset in this case. The more we go out, you can kind of see that a little bit more. But that's kind of what we have kind of going on as far as creating any of those cases there. And then they'd like us to apply a 0.2 inch fillet to the corners. So again, we're looking at I can always type in there 0.1, and then they would like us to apply a fillet. And within the sketch environment, you're going to see the sketch fillets right here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply that fillet of 0.2. So the radius will be set to 0.2. And I'm just going to go around and keep selecting these lines. Click the green check mark. Looks like it did those two. Let's go ahead and do these. And same thing with these. So it'll create that little shape. I'm going to do the exact same thing. And now I do have the sketch fillet tool running. I'm going to go ahead and select escape. If I just highlight and drag, I'm going to select these two items. Let's go ahead and choose the offset command. The offset command, 0.1. Notice how didn't look like it really did a whole lot, so maybe I just need to do this, kind of taking a look at. Let me delete what I've got going on here. Looks like it picked a rectangle there. So let me go ahead and try to select this geometry. Let's go ahead and utilize the offset command. There we go, looking a lot better now. 0.1. And then let's go ahead and try this other side too. I'm not really sure why it keeps wanting to pick that rectangle tool, but let's undo that. I'll highlight, offset, 0.1, select enter, and now just go along with my sketch fillet. Select this corner and this corner, 0.2, looks good. And just clicking each line where we want to make a round. And since we've already got 0.2 set, you'll notice I get a green check mark on my left mouse button. So as soon as I select the two lines, I can click my left mouse button to apply the fillet. And that'll have that there. Now that I'm finished, I can escape the fillet. I can go ahead and click the green check mark. And they just want us to extrude the areas to a certain amount. So I'm actually going to right click and select isometric. Choose extrude. I actually want to pick the area between the lines here. So let's go ahead and pick those. And we're just going to go ahead and have these come out maybe at about 0.5. Just to give them some depth. And select the green check mark. And this will finish out just kind of playing around with patterns as well as polygons, offset, fillet, and some of those items for activity 1, 3, 4, numbers 7 through 13.